We're back with another podcast episode, and it's the middle of the summer. We are in the doldrums of NBA news, and all the dust has settled in terms of free agency and trades and additions and draft and all this. It feels like forever ago that the Thunder won the championship. But we're looking forward to next season, and I'm very excited. And there's a team that has been on my radar that I've been trying to hunt Jeff down for ages to get him to give me his Spurs fan perspective on this team and ask him a few questions that he has the answers to that I don't. So, Jeff, welcome to the pod. Thank you for being here, and I'm excited to talk Spurs.
Thank you. Thank you. 72 wins guaranteed next season. Hey, maybe not.
Okay. Well, that is a good segue. Let me set the table for us because we're going to come at this in a couple of different angles. So, the Spurs were 13th in the West last season. They won 34 games. They won 34 and 48. Of course, Wemby missed 36 of those games with the blood clot in his shoulder. Also, the Spurs traded for De'Aaron Fox, who they just re-signed, and he and Wemby only played 5 games together. So they're still kind of a question mark in my eyes, but with huge potential. Yeah, they finished 13th in the West, and I also just want to bring up Wemby's stats in those 36 those 46 games that he played. Points per game, 21.4, lower than I expected actually. Rebounds, 10.6 rebounds per game. Assists, 3.9 assists per game, and blocks, 3.6 blocks per game, which is crazy. Um, all right, so that's where they left off last year, and now we're looking towards this year. Is there anything that jumps out at you that you're excited about before we dive into a couple questions?
I think the excitement I'm gonna presume on behalf of a lot of other Spurs fans is just the idea of a fully healthy Wemby and a fully healthy Fox.
Yeah,
And what that could mean. I think it's pretty fair to say that would be a clear path to the win total getting up this year. Just consistency in minutes. Hopefully, Wemby with everything behind him from last year, and Fox getting healthy, and that combination. We've obviously had a couple very fun to watch big little combos, and I'm not going to put the pressure on them to be Parker and Duncan in the pick and roll, but it something even remotely close to that would probably be a really good thing for our team.
yeah, they have a good blueprint to follow. So let me continue with some more updates on their off season. I want to go through some of the notable additions and some departures that happened. So yeah, they re-signed De'Aaron Fox. Okay, Jordan McLaughlin returns on a 1 year deal. Other additions: Luke Cornett agrees to a 4 year deal. Also, did you hear why he chose the number 7?
No, I didn't.
The quote is something like, because if I can be a third of the player that Tim Duncan was, I'll be happy, or something like that.
Excellent. I like him already.
Yeah, that I was like, oh, I love this guy. He already knows his place. Kelly Olynyk joins the team, and then Lindy Waters the third from the Warriors. We'll miss you, Lindy. Notable departures: Malachi Branham, Sandro Mamokilashvili.
That one always hurts.
That's a huge blow, actually. I mean, dude,
Just
yeah.
just hurts the vibes, really. Just a fan favorite. So uh, I don't I don't think from a basketball, he wasn't a huge contributor, obviously, but something something we'll look back positively over the last year or so, and he gave us a lot of good memories in what otherwise were not very successful seasons.
Dude, he might have the highest ceiling of any player in the league.
All right, I don't know about that.
He had that one game that was insane. Chris Paul left. He's back on the Clippers. And then Blake Wesley. I don't really remember him that much. And
He was
then
another one of our like younger rotation guards. He just
okay,
didn't really get the opportunities minutes wise.
okay. Now to sum it all up, I'm just going to run through the roster. Victor Wembanyama, Dylan Harper, Keldon Johnson, De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, David Duke Jr., Luke Cornett, Jeremy Sochan, Carter Bryant, Jordan McLaughlin, Kelly Olynyk, Bismack Biyombo, David Jones Garcia, Vassell, Micah Potter, Riley Minix, Charles Bassey, Julian Champagny, Harrison Barnes, Lindy Waters, and Harrison Ingram. Okay, so now we've set the table. My question to you, Jeff, as a Spurs fan, what is your favorite offseason addition that the Spurs made? We'll start there.
And I kind of cheat with a two for one.
Do it.
I like both the big additions. There was something about the transition from the Wemby to Zach Collins minutes. We're never going to find a backup big for backup big money that is going to be Victor Wembanyama, and it would be unrealistic to think that. But I feel, especially with Cornette, a little bit better about the like physical fit. Like Collins, I think was only 6'11", Cornette's 7'1". Just hoping that it's a little bit of a better transition in terms of like how the team feels when Wemby's off the floor. I felt like not even just from a talent difference, but it felt like the system changed significantly. And my hope is that yes, the offense probably won't run through Wembanyama or it won't run through Cornette, of course, when he's on the floor, but hopefully some of the motions and some of just the way we play defensively and offensively feels the same. I'm a huge fan of like the system feels right and you just plug and play the people. So I like that. Olynyk, like as a backup big, I think is great. We're not going to expect him to, win us a championship by himself, but we really just had Zach Collins as our only height, and he's not super tall for what the league is moving to with all these 7-footers. So um,
Yeah.
I think that's huge. Every Spurs fan wanted backup in that position, so it's been a great shift to see.
That was a really thoughtful answer and very respectful to Zach Collins. I will say I forgot that he was a departure because that was during the season, not in the off season. Jeff has seen Jeff react to Zach Collins plays in ways that were just hilarious, and you could feel the anger and frustration coming through the screen. Tell us how you really feel about the Zach Collins minutes.
No, it's like once you see it on the other side, it's fine. I've healed and I've realized it's not anything against Zach Collins. It's just that he wasn't Wimby. And when you go from a 7'3" demigod dribbling between his legs and hitting a three from 35 feet to someone who can't do that, it's hard to wrap your head around. But
Sometimes he
it's
thinks he
okay.
can, though.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, so okay, the two bigs, that's additions, and then maybe addition by subtraction. Because I think, I mean, Zach Collins, he could score, but only because that was you had someone. I mean, you
No.
get the minutes, but I think those are major additions, major upgrades, like you said, the size. Um, and I think Kelly Olynyk's probably a better shooter. He's just more seasoned and well-rounded.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Um,
between the two of them, you can throw Olynyk on to actually be a floor spacer with some of his threes in the corner. And
he's
then,
gonna take a charge on
yeah,
defense.
and Corey is like a little bit more of like a plug in straight for Wemby situation. So I like both those options.
Yeah. Sneaky good signing that caught my interest, and maybe because I'm a Warriors fan, so I've seen him play a lot more. But Lindy Waters is you got him for 1 year, and he can shoot the basketball really well. I've been hearing in the offseason in the second half of last year that the Spurs lacked great three-point shooting. I don't think he's going to be playing a ton of minutes because you guys have a lot of good guards,
Mm.
but in like times when you have a defensive guard out there, Lindy Waters can be on the floor to hit some of those threes as well. I think he's going to get more run than people expect.
I think it'll be interesting to see him and potentially like David Jones Garcia and who might get more minutes because I think everyone we're all super excited about Jones Garcia, your classic like we won summer league because we got to sign this guy who exploded during Vegas and looked really good and averaged like 20 points a game or something like that.
During this Vegas Summer League,
hmm And he did really well, especially in the couple games in, I think it's in the Bay that they do before like the
hmm,
actual Vegas league. But I think it'll be interesting to see like who earns more minutes between the two of them. The,
yeah,
the one thing I wonder, and this is more just a lack of knowledge of Lindy Waters' game so far, is what does he look like defensively? Because I feel like the Spurs are more than happy to throw on people who can't shoot as well, but are going to hustle and play good D. And I think that's where our guards get really crowded, where you have Steph Castle, you have oh man, Dylan Harper, almost forgot his name, coming in, who's already shown he looks really active defensively in the passing lanes, and then
hmm,
Carter Bryant as like that guard forward option has also kind of jumped off the tape defensively. So
nice.
I'll be curious to see if Lindy Waters can kind of like break through that. But we do need shooting, as you mentioned. So I feel like there's got to be an opportunity for him to shine.
Yeah, the defense is definitely a disadvantage for him. So he might not make it on the floor as much as I'm hoping, but he can shoot. Okay, aside from Sandro Mamukelashvili, I think a notable departure is CP3. Do you have any concerns about CP3 not being on the roster anymore?
No, because I think whether it was this year or next year, we knew he wasn't going to be here long term, just based on his age. And I feel like, from my perspective, I'd rather they just make the transition now when you have all of these young guards in the building, even if it means we're worse off next year. I think we really need to get all those guys minutes, and then Fox is obviously going to be the primary ball handler. And I think with Fox coming in, you want to put the ball in his hands, and that would mean taking away from CP3, which he wouldn't want to be a part of. So I think probably mutually beneficial for him to go back to the Clips and us to kind of move on with our young core.
And I was thinking about it from the perspective of the veteran presence and teaching the younger guards about the league and how to play. But you have De'Aaron Fox, he's a veteran, some would say. I would say so.
Yeah,
And Harrison Barnes is on the team still. So there's definitely still that leadership. So actually, the more that I think about it, I think that's mutually beneficial, like you said.
and I don't necessarily feel that like that leadership, especially from like a point guard in teaching younger guards, is overrated. I think it will have done a lot for Wemby, for Castle last year, but I think it's more important that we just kind of move forward with the young core and like let them work through minutes. And we're still at the phase where a lot of these guys have really good talent but have clear weaknesses in their game that they need to improve. And so if we're gonna make that push to the next level, we got to get them out there and get them running.
Yeah, Chris Paul played 82 games last year. Like there's going to be a lot of minutes now for someone else. We've gone too long without diving deep on Wemby, and I'm really curious because by all accounts he seems to be the kind of player who is always in a growth mindset and it is tracking to be getting better every year. Sometimes talent just levels off, but he just seems like he's built different. He has the mindset he puts in the work. He was training at a Shaolin temple. I mean, that makes me want to put my
Mhm.
all my savings on him to just explode. Um, is it reasonable for us to expect him to be higher in on all of these stats, like 21 points per game? I think you'll go up 10 rebounds, 4 assists, almost 4 blocks. What can we expect? What's a reasonable level of upgrade in terms of his stats and his output next year, even just being healthy.
Yeah, I'll do a reasonable and then like an optimistic view. I think similar stats to this year, but just over an entire healthy season. I
Hmm.
think is reasonable. Obviously, you gotta get lucky with health, but that to me would be fantastic. If you're a year three in your early 20s contributing 24, 11, and 3 and 3, I think that's going to win us a lot of games. That a lot of the drop off is like, well, he has been injured a little bit, so we just missed that production. Um, on the optimistic side, there have been some stretches where I'm thinking like earlier in year one when he was just figuring out like his role in the offense and he was taking some bad shots. Year two when he was like fighting through the injury before they knew really what it was, and he was like playing tired and again kind of taking some poor shots in my opinion.
Mm.
Assuming he continues to mature in terms of like finding his spots and when to take them, I think it's reasonable that you could see that 3 point percentage go up a little bit. Same with the twos, like the middies and things like that. And he already shoots, he can be a 90% free throw shooter. So I think you could see him reach that like 27 point per game mark, that like 3 point jump, just by like a little bit more efficiency gain. And hopefully with De'Aaron Fox running the offense as well too, there's just that additional threat. Like teams respected Chris Paul, especially the way he can like really dictate the offense, but he wasn't going to be like a knockdown shooter taking like 20 shots a game. And I'm hoping that the spacing will be a little bit more advantageous for Wemby and could help get him some easier looks this year.
As a fan of the team, would you rather there be a larger percentage of possessions that are like point Wemby possessions or like get him the ball on the first pass type of possessions versus all the guards on the roster, they're gonna want to do stuff too, and I'm just wondering where what would make you feel better, him having the ball early in the possession or letting the guards try to develop these plays and having him be more of a finisher later in the possession.
I still like the idea of the offense being initiated by the guards mostly. And you're always going to have your moments. And he showed us like that game against Denver when he went off for I think it was like 18 points in like 3 minutes. He'll have those takeover moments and just demand the ball and start chucking logo threes, and it'll work. But I think in general, having a Fox or a Castle or a Harper initiate, I think is better to take some of that pressure off of him. Honestly, for like the stamina and getting him just more minutes too, and for the fact that in my opinion, he's so valuable for us defensively. I'm okay if every possession doesn't run through him
Mm.
because I think he can really impact it in all areas, and I don't necessarily want to put everything on him offensively. Plus, I think hopefully we'll see, like, especially with Fox, pick and rolls, pick and pops will be like a little bit crispier because Fox is not afraid to dive to the hoop, and Wemby obviously has the range for like a three pick and pop. That's where at the beginning I was joking about the Parker Duncan comparison, but it's like Duncan would pop for the mid range, and now Wemby has so much more range beyond that that hopefully it'll just create some big issues for defenses. It's not a good comparison, but like Murray Jokic kind of running as a pair is like would obviously be phenomenal if we could get to that level of like those two just dicing up defenses.
I can't wait to watch it. It's I even like remind myself now that no one can contest a Wemby three. Like whenever he
No.
wants to, he could just put it up. I'm stoked for the highlights of next year again, and it was sad that he wasn't ha healthy for the second half of the year.
Yeah, for sure.
And Fox and Wemby together, yeah, this is gonna be awesome. Okay, that's a good transition. Let's take a look at the standings of last year. I have two kind of exercises for you.
Mm.
We're talking about like worst case, best case of their projected win totals for next year. And with a healthy with a full season of De'Aaron Fox, healthy Wembanyama, I'm really curious to hear what you think the top end could look like. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm looking at the standings of last year. I'm going to name out the teams that finished above them, and you can just tell me yes or no if you think they're going to finish ahead of them this year.
Love it.
Okay, Portland Trail Blazers,
Yes.
Phoenix Suns.
Ooh, that's an interesting one. Uh, yes.
I think yes. Dallas Mavericks.
I mean, I would be delusional always with this because the rivalry. I'll say yes. If they're completely healthy all season, they can be tough. But this is the problem with the West too. It's like if all teams are healthy, you can point to a path where they're all like a five seed or above practically.
I think it's a pretty good bet that they're going to be better than the Mavericks. The Mavericks aren't starting out fully healthy, and
Yeah.
they're just. I mean, there's yeah, who knows what Cooper Flag's going to be able to actually do consistently. Um, I think I think they'll be better than Mavericks. Okay, Sacramento Kings.
Yes, I think the Kings unfortunately are taking a step back to reshuffle what they're doing.
Yeah, Memphis Grizzlies.
It's an interesting one. Yeah, I still feel confident because they had 48 wins.
Yeah,
I don't know that we're getting to that number, but
neither will the Grizzlies.
I don't think the Grizzlies will get back to that number.
Golden State Warriors.
Yes.
Don't do
I
it.
think I think
No.
I mean Steph Curry's amazing, but I I think they might stink next year a little bit. All the all the Warriors fans can find you when they're a 65 win team for some reason.
Forgot about Jimmy Buckets. Okay, I think we're getting into some some easy answer territory, but how about the Timberwolves? They were sixth last year.
I would say probably not. Like this is where I think if I start to place above a lot of these teams coming up, it's probably like very, very optimistic view. I think the Timberwolves have such an incredible star player and supporting cast that they're going to be very good again.
So above the Wolves are the Clippers, Nuggets, Lakers, Rockets, and Thunder. Is there any team there that you think the Spurs might have a chance to eclipse?
I think potentially the Clippers,
Hmm.
as much as I hate to say it, probably not the Rockets. I could see them putting up a really good regular season total. I don't feel like we would have a better record than the Thunder. I could see the Lakers only from a sense of
Oh,
like I don't know that they would like they're just that team who can kind of get into the play in and then like still be talked about and LeBron might not be worried about like regular season win total sort of situation. Whereas like us on as a young team, we might be trying to push for that like kind of what the Rockets did last year, prove that like we're good and you kind of go really hard all regular season, then you might lose in the playoffs to that like experienced team who coasted the regular season and then is a seven seed but still beats you.
yeah, I agree. So
So
I
I'll say
think pretty,
no on Thunder, Rockets, and Nuggets.
yeah, I agree with that. I think it's pretty clear that we're going to be watching the Spurs play some playoff basketball next year, which is super exciting.
I think so. I think my expectation has kind of shifted to like this is the year we should be pushing for play-in. Um, I just look at Jazz, Pelicans, Trailblazers, Suns, Mavs, Kings, Grizzlies, and it's like you only got to be better than five of those. Um, and I feel like I want to be realistic and not like put too much on the team too early. I'm not expecting we're going to be like championship contenders or anything, but we're getting some of these younger players to like that year three, year four, year five mark, and we got to start seeing some of the progress in this season. I think.
Yeah. All right, so the year before last, the Spurs won 22 games. Now they last year they won 34. A 12 game increase. I mean, both of their marquee players were not playing for
Mm.
the second, or were not playing for a significant portion of the season. So I'm going to ask you over or under the Spurs win 15 more games next year. That would put them at 49 wins.
So maybe 49 and what is that? 49 and 25, 20 something, 20 something. What game?
49 and 33. Math
Okay.
is
I'll say I'll say under 49, but I feel like it's 47, 48. Not too far under.
yeah, because I think a 12 win increase is very
It's a
doable.
lot.
If, yeah, but also you miss 36 games without Wemby and Fox wasn't playing
True.
for half the season. So I yeah. Okay. It's funny though, 12 to 15 is a big difference. I didn't think about it when I was asked the question. Um all
Good
right.
mind.
Jeff, one more question for you
Hmm.
as someone who follows the Spurs much more closely than I do. Mitch Johnson is their coach. I don't know anything about this guy. I have never heard of him, aside from last year coaching the team, and he apparently played in the league. What about him? No, I should phrase this differently. Do you have confidence in him as a coach? Because he has a tall task in coaching a generational, a lifetime um, talent, and he's succeeding. Greg Popovich, one of the goats of coaching. So tell me about Mitchell Johnson and how you feel about him.
Yeah, I feel pretty good just based on the organization around him. I don't expect him to live up to what Pop has done. I don't think that's fair to him. But I feel like what he has going for him is such a good system around him and, well documented that you have Ginobili in the building working with Wemby on things. So it's, other Duncan in the building, Pop obviously still in the building. Um, so I
Yeah.
feel like he has a very good supporting cast, and that makes me optimistic that you can slot in a coach that may not like have too much experience behind the bench, and it'll still work out well. And all signs are that like the things players have posted about him, about the transition have been very positive. I wouldn't really expect anything less. You're not going to come out and say, I think this guy stinks, but the public show of support from like Wimby, for example, and some others, I think is a good sign. And Wemby especially has said time and time again, process player. He just had an article with a French outlet over the summer where he kind of reiterated that he'd love to be a one club, one team player for his career if it can work out. So
Music to
I
your
think
ears.
I think he is driven to expect improvement and greatness, and he's not going to like be okay with that in the building if we're not good next year. But I think he's also about the whole picture, and he's not going to like lose faith in the coach if we don't look great to start the season, for example. So I think there's a lot of those positive factors going for Mitch Johnson that'll give him the time to continue to grow and hopefully succeed with the team.
The buy-in from your star player and having his support, I feel like is probably the most important thing in terms of having the rest of the team listen to you as a coach. And I also saw that they have Brett Brown on the bench, which is, I mean, he coached some terrible Sixers teams, but he is from the Spurs legacy coaching tree and knows all about their process. So who knows? Maybe Mitch Johnson will be the next Eric Spoelstra type. Um, okay, thank you for educating us on what a Spurs fan feels about Mitch Johnson.
As a fun fact, I will say with no knowledge of who our shooting coaches are currently, so not a shot at them. I always feel like it hurts that our like 17-year coach I think his name's like Chip Engelland. He was our shooting coach, and then he went to the Thunder a couple of years ago, and now the Thunder are doing well. That one hurts a little bit. I'm like, let's bring him home and teach all the young guards how to shoot and get their numbers up. But we'll see how that goes.
Jeremy Sochan could use some help. Um, all right.
We're just gonna lock everyone down on defense. Every game's gonna be 75 to 50, and it's gonna be ugly basketball to watch, and we're gonna love it.
I sensed a bit of jest there, but it's literally what the Thunder their game plan was. We're going to create turnovers and get stops and go get
Yep.
some easy baskets, and we're gonna make like a lot of our or score on a lot of our offensive possessions. So I think the emphasis on defense as so much of the league moves to we're just going to put up threes and try to outscore teams as every team does. Um, to skew or to make sure that your defense is really strong is not a bad strategy. So
I
we'll see
mean,
what happens.
this is kind of off topic, but since you mentioned like the Thunder, what they've done, I obviously a lot of the league is moving there, but I look at our roster for the season, and so many of the guards are like 6'5", 6'6", just wingspans, making it hell to try and pass and drive in the lane, hopefully.
A Thunder Spurs first round series would be sweet.
Spurs
Um,
and
all right, Jeff, thanks for joining me to talk Spurs. Spurs are going 82 and 0. You heard it here first.
absolutely.
Elf. Yeah, thanks for hanging out in the off season. I'm sure we'll catch up again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother. Have a good one.
Thank you, sir.